And with us now, Congressman Frank Wolf of Virginia. His district abuts that of Congressman Jim Moran. Congressman Moran says the right thing to do is to accept these Gitmo prisoners in the Alexandria courts and put them in the Alexandria jail, if that becomes necessary. Congressman Wolf, you take a different view on this.
Correct. There are two issues here. One, Eric Holder is talking about releasing the Uyghur detainees. The Uyghur detainees are part of a releasing, not just transfer, but releasing in the community, are part of a group called the Eastern Turkmenistan Islamic Movement. They're on the terrorist list. They've all gone through training camps at Tora Bora, Al-Qaeda-run training camps, and their leader is a fellow named Abdul Haq, who the Obama administration last month just put again personally on the terrorist financing list. So that's one group that I think if you're going to release them, they should be released somewhere abroad. Other Uyghur detainees were released in Albania, and I think that's appropriate, but not here in the United States. Also, there's potential radicalization, having been at Guantanamo for 7 years. The other issue is when you close down Guantanamo, as I'm sure it will be closed down, as they're saying, what do you do? And they were talking about bringing someone like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was the one who beheaded, if you recall, Daniel Pearl, and also was the mastermind of 9/11, which led to the death of 3,000 people, 30 from my congressional district. To bring him to Alexandria, where Misali was tried, is inappropriate, because when Misali was tried, Alexandria was totally different. Now, since that time, there's a new Westin hotel directly across the street from the courthouse. There's a brand new condo, the Carlisle, onto the other side, and the government has now built the Patent and Trademark Office with up to 5,000 employees, and there's a new ramp coming down from the Beltway. And since these Al-Qaeda people have this unwritten code that they will attempt to rescue one another, my point is Alexandria is not the place.
Well,
they should do it somewhere on a military base in a rural area away from a metropolitan area. So that's the issue here. Do you do it in an urban area, or do you do it in a rural area on a military base? And I think it ought to be done in a rural area on a military base.
Well, they're going to have to put them somewhere. I mean that's for
correct.
sure. As you say, if the president does, as he has said he is going to do, close down Guantanamo.
Correct. Yes.
But let me ask you this. I mean, we've got some pretty good supermax federal prisons in this country. Nobody has ever escaped from any of those. Are we just saying that our prisons are not good enough to hold these people?
I was chairman of the committee that had the jurisdiction over the FBI and the Bureau of Prisons, and I'm now the ranking member. If you recall, Officer Pepe was stabbed in the eye by one of these individuals. Sheikh Rahman, who was in prison now in a supermax, was transferring information from his lawyer out to a terrorist. And lastly, if you recall, if you check the records, people convicted for the World Trade Center bombing #1 were in communication with the Madrid bombers in Spain. And one of the biggest problems is the radicalization in prison. In fact, the 4 individuals that I looked at the report that were arrested yesterday up in the New York City area were radicalized, some of them in prison. So I'm saying you need to present a plan on where you're going to do this. Wherever Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is tried, he will probably be there for 5 to 6 to 7 years. And what I'm saying is, we're not saying you can't close down Guantanamo. We're saying you can't try and bring someone to Alexandria for 4 or 5 or 6 years with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who there may very well be a rescue attempt. As you recall for the other trials, there's some potential problems that the witnesses fear intimidation, the jury members feel intimidation, the judges are potentially threatened. So we're saying Alexandria is not the place. It has to be on a rural area, probably, Bob, on a military base.
Are you saying, though, that it's going to take 5 or 6 or 7 years to get these trials done? Is that?
Misali was in Alexandria for over 4 years. The trial for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed will probably be 4 or 5, and I think he'll appeal to the Supreme Court, because it will probably be a a death penalty case, I assume Eric Holder will do that. And I think he could be wherever he is taken before there is an end of this for 5 to 6, and some trial lawyers say up to potentially 6.5 years. So wherever he will go, you will have that for that long period of time. The other problem, Bob, is that there was a court case. Judge Bates ruled that 3 of the inmates in Bagram outside of Kabul, will also be entitled to these. So if there is a decision made that what you're ever given to the Guantanamo people should also be with regard to Bagram, this would go on forever, and you would literally tie up. I mean, the mayor of Alexandria is supposed to. So we're not saying you never try them. We're saying you don't do it in Alexandria. You would do it in a rural area, and I believe the most appropriate place would probably be on a military base.
All right, Congressman Frank Wolf, who underlines, and I think this is one thing we can all agree on, saying you're going to close Guantanamo is one thing, figuring out how to do it is a little more complicated.